Hello, welcome, reconsider. So what do we have here? A real-life, explosive, whistleblowing former Cabal banker, Ronald Bernard. It's the first instalment of a 5-video series. As of recording this, 2 episodes are currently available on YouTube. I will of course post the links below. The interview is in Dutch, but subtitles are available. The interviewer, Irma Schiffers, works for an alternative news website in Holland. We should all be grateful for their work in getting this information out. Exposing the matrix is vitally important. There has always been much discussion about the cabal controlling the money, banking, government, security services and terrorism, although there has always been a lack of whistleblower evidence. Someone who is prepared to bravely go on camera and tell their story. Well, that's until now. If this is genuine, which I do believe it is, the content of what he is saying is breathtaking, saddening and chilling. The first time I watched this interview, it deeply emotionally affected me. The first interview is the most explosive so far of the 5-part series and touches upon some deeply disturbing stories concerning the reality of what we all live under, the deep control, profiteering from catastrophe and sadness. He confides in us that the Luciferian religious beliefs his clients had, and most disturbing of all, sacrifice, actual human child sacrifice. Again, it's upsetting, but for the truth and wider community, it's so important to watch. He's basically confirming our worst nightmares. So who is Ronald Bernard? Ronald Bernard reached the upper tier of society, the top of the pyramid. He was operating above the normal checks and balances of society as a currency trader stroke asset manager to shadowy elites. My personal belief is that he is genuine. The emotional responses and the way he speaks, it feels and looks very sincere. His online presence outside of this interview and his own overt present business interests again all look incredibly genuine. It seems that after years of being a strawman, he appears to be trying to rectify the past by following a more positive path in his life. The video starts with Bernard introducing his early success as a serial entrepreneur. Further on in his career, Bernard became more involved in currency trading. A broker noticed his talents and started to mentor him, providing him with a seat on the exchange in return for 10% of his annual income. He was given a very stark warning by his mentor to suppress and confine his conscience to the deep freeze in order to work effectively and immorally. All of his clients were part of the top 8,000 tier of global elites, the Cabal. During the interview, Bernard detailed the type of assignments he was expected to carry out and complete. One of the assignments he was granted was to sell Iraqi oil shortly after the country's invasion, but there was a boycott in place. His job was to process the cash from the sale of the boycotted oil while under the radar of the mainstream regulators. He claims there was a basement in a German bank full of money from trading of Iraqi oil. It all needs to be moved by trucks and processed back into the system without detection. He claims the true elites create the regulations and work cooperatively between each other and take all precautions that their status is maintained and stop any potential overcrowding at the top of the pyramid. Bernard, at the height of his powers, had access to the covert financial system. He could see and join the dots. He could vividly see how the world actually worked. This included at times transferring huge sums of money to governments, multinationals, terrorist organisations and security services. Now this is a direct quote from one of the translations and its content is very chilling. He said, "So one of the things that I found out, I did not know that before, but now I do, is about security services. You think that they are there to serve and protect people, countries, etc. But they actually turn out to be criminal organisations. To be more precise, the system is heavily so. We are talking about financing wars, creating wars, so basically creating a lot of misery in this world. So lots of conflict. And then I would think to myself, if only people knew what the world is really like. Secret services will stop at nothing. But they also have flows of money, because if they are trading in drugs, weapons, or for that matter, people." That's the end of his quote. He then mentioned he was working at the highest level for 5 years. He had an office, employees, but towards the end of his tenure, the deep freeze that controlled his conscience started to malfunction. He regrettably confessed that he and his colleagues would routinely laugh about the death and destruction they caused. It was a game to them. The average member of society are merely just seen as sheep. But it wasn't until he started to be introduced to their world of satanic churches and child sacrifice that it was at this point he failed in his trainings and become an actual true psychopath. Bernard was deeply trusted by his clients, but after experiencing what he had seen, he started to refuse assignments. This was the beginning of the end. During the interview, he controversially urged people to research the protocols of Zion. He mentions it's like reading a newspaper of daily life. It provides an insight into their position of ultimate power. Another powerful quote during the video concerning the dark forces working against humanity. He states in the video, it hates creation, it hates life, and it will do anything to destroy us completely. And the way to do that is divide humanity. Divide and conquer is their truth. Humanity is a manifestation of light. That is the true creation. As long as you divide them based on political parties, skin colour, that's the end of his quote. For Bernard to finally exit his shadowy existence, he was tortured for a long time physically and mentally by his clients, as a warning never to divulge any names of people or companies involved in this criminal elite activity. And this is why he remains alive to this day, because he chose never to confirm identities. Again, this video is mind-blowing. There are more to come though. His story is so emotive, powerful. There really is nothing out there to match or confirm what he is discussing. Skeptics quite rightly would point out that if the information is true, then why is he still alive? Why is he allowed to carry on telling? But again, maybe it's true. As long as he maintains the secrecy over names, he will continue to live. I urge you to follow this video series. It's important to everyone, so we can challenge existing power structure. Momentum information like this is leaking out all the time, and they are struggling to contain and suppress it. More and more normal people are starting to awaken. It's exciting that really positive change is ahead for all of us, and all the people who are involved in this world, their corrupt, criminal murdering crimes against humanity need to be brought to justice. Their reckoning is getting closer and closer. Thanks very much for watching. This has been Reconsider. Bye bye.